Hey, it's a sort of an impromptu stream tonight. Awesome, there's 3 people here. Thanks for being here. The title of the video sort of explains a little bit. Maybe I should preface with that social gatherings around holidays are often difficult because people have been stressed out. People have anxiety, lots of things that make things difficult. People might have their differences, or it's that reconnection that they may not feel comfortable. And that's something that's very common to a lot of people, you know. So there's also associated anxiety or trauma associated with certain times, being holidays. And if that's something that is felt, then it makes it even more difficult if you already have social anxiety, you know. And so you know, I've been through a lot in my life, and then I'm not alone. I'm not the only one, you know. We've all been through stuff, right? And it can be good to push through those difficult, anxious times of being in these sort of high stress moments, or even when it has that, you know, looking back over all of the times, and even though consistently there has been something to just make me not want to be around these social gatherings at these times of year when it's upsetting. So like, and so that can be a way to sort of understand and sort of forgive other people's actions, things they say, that sort of thing. But it doesn't at all justify the words or their actions. And so I'm not alone for being someone who gets bullied all the time, gets called names. You know, I've been through harassment in my life. I've been through some heavy stuff, harassment, intimidation, and worse, you know, and I've survived that. So it hurts when someone makes some petty remark, or, you know, these days I've got less and less time. If someone's going to put me down, if they're going to denigrate me or humiliate me, I just don't have time for them. And through sedition, I don't have time for people associated in those things. I have to just distance myself so that I can protect myself and just be around good people, because there are good people, you know, there's good people in the world, friendly people, kind people, caring people, loving people, supporting people, or supportive people. And that's what I find here with the channel, is that people here are amazing, and you've all helped me grow and get beyond this difficult times, and to share what I've been through, and for others to share what they've been through, has been very powerful. And you know, this particular Christmas is, you know, even more for me difficult because I'm somewhat distanced from family. You know, I've lost my mother last year, this year. So last year was, you know, last Christmas, and there's been a lot that I've been through in this year, and you know, there is amazing, beautiful things, you know, like with, you know, I'm going to be a father, and that means a lot to me, and I'm going to be there for my child and for my wife to be. And we don't need these holidays. We can celebrate every day, that be thankful for the food that we have, or the roof that we have over our head, to be able to feel safe enough, you know, to not be worried about things all the time. And that's just not a, you know, safety isn't just, you know, physical safety. Safety is also financial safety, just knowing that things are going to be okay. And I know I've got enough skills that I will be fine, and I'm learning new skills, you know, and I've got a goal for the future. The future is going to be amazing. It's going to be a great journey towards it, you know. And I think it's even going to be better just by walking away from these situations that cause me harm. So I'll explain a little bit. You know, I've been humiliated over and over my whole life, and denigrated, put down, made fun of. And it gets to you after a while, you know, it really hurts. So the thing, bullies know this, and they just can't help themselves. So there is that understanding that that they they will say things just to put you down, to make them feel not better, but I don't know, because I'm not a bully, but they will say these things, or that it's maybe a power thing, you know. It's also probably a lot to do with their own insecurities or their own pain, and that can help to empathize with their situation. But I think there should be a point where you don't give them that attention, because if you're not doing that, if you're not bullying other people, making fun of other people, why should you accept people to make fun of you? So yesterday I was having a good conversation with my fiance, who's on the other side of the world carrying our baby. And we've been through so much this year. So much. Like 95% of what we've been through this year, I haven't been able to talk about on this channel. And it's amazing that people have come in and supported us, and it's helping us get back together. And we've got a very rational plan for how we're going to support our child, and where we're going to live, what we're going to do for work, and what we're going to do for the rest of our lives. And my fiance and I have developed a stronger love and bond for each other through this process. That doesn't mean there isn't a lot of pain there, a whole lot of pain. And so I was having a conversation with her yesterday, and I could hear that people had arrived to visit. And I thought, I'll wait until everyone settles down before I go upstairs. And I went upstairs after everyone was settled and chatting. And I walk into the room and I say hello to everyone. I think I made eye contact with everyone, smiling, saying hello. My, happy, friendly, jovial me, it's me, how I am. And one person just thought that it was that they were in a position where they could just make fun of me. Like, so I was going to have a shower and have a shave my head and put some fresh clothes on. But I was like, well, these clothes are still fresh that I was wearing, and I've run out of time. I'll just go upstairs, and it just happened to be that I'd eaten a big meal, and I am overweight. I've got a belly, all right? And there's a reason for that, because I haven't been able to exercise the way I've wanted to this year. So the weight that I've put on in the last few years has been difficult to get back to the weight that I'm comfortable with, although I'm comfortable in my own body, right? And I am getting fitter. If I hadn't gone through all this stuff this year, then I would be a lot fitter and I would be a lot skinnier. But this person thought that, you know, in front of everyone there and in my own home too, this person came into my own home and in front of everyone humiliated me, singled me out when he waited until I said hello to everyone, and then he thought, I'll make fun of this guy. Now this, you could say that it's an Australian type of thing to do, to make fun of each other, you know, and it can be a happy, friendly, jovial thing, you know, especially if people are good friends and it's something that they do, that's fine. If they're acquaintances, it's not so fine. So it's really only permissible in in very few situations, really. Any other time, it's abusive to actually just think that someone can do that, especially if they come into your home, regardless of whether they know what you are going through or been through, thinking that maybe it's going to toughen you up or it's just a way to break the ice, or whether it's their inability to shut their mouth. Some people just can't help themselves, and they're like that to everyone. Okay. And if that's the case, then that's known. So but it's not cool. It should be a time where people can just be in each other's company and enjoy some light conversation, because essentially pretty much everyone that was there besides my father I hadn't really spoken to much at all in the last year, even though we've known each other for a long time, and it should be a good time to just hang out. So I got there a few minutes late, but for good reason. I was chatting to my fiance and we miss each other and we're on the other side of the world from each other. And we've also gone through extreme things. And so I thought it would just be great for me to just wait for everyone to settle, and then I'll wander in a few minutes late. So if you're talking about decorum of hospitality, maybe me rocking up late could be seen as a chance for someone to just make a snide remark. And yeah, so I walk in and I say hello to everyone, and then he just points out my belly, how fat I am, in front of everyone. Hey, look, I got a belly, right? It probably looks bigger because I'm wearing an oversized shirt, but yeah, like, it doesn't need to be pointed out, right? This very same comment to someone who is vulnerable can push them into an eating disorder and have them end up in hospital on a drip. Evidently, this very much same comment has forced me to say, I'm done with these types of social gatherings unless I'm sure that I'm comfortable with the people being happy and friendly and kind. You know, I just don't want to be in that situation where I can be humiliated again, because it's, you know, it's fair enough to say, oh, look, toughen up, you know. No, I don't need that. I'm happy to just, I'm starting my own family, and I'm going to make sure our child is well socialized with good people, you know, and they'll experience this stuff when they grow up, because there's bullies everywhere, there's nasty people around, and it's a difficult thing. And around these times a year, I keep trying to justify why this person thought that they could just humiliate me in my own house. Now, it's probably a power play. Like, it could be their own insecurities. So what I did was just laugh it off type thing. Oh, yes, you know, haha, yeah, look, I got a belly. Oh, my shirt doesn't fit so good. You know, I'm in between sizes. So, like, this is a big oversized shirt. You know, looks like I'm wearing a parachute. But then I have 3 different sizes of shirts, where this is the parachute one. Then I've got the ones that are fit well, but like if I've eaten a big meal, which I just done, my belly sticks out a bit. And then, so, and then I've got the next size down, which I can't wear at the moment because I'm a little bit overweight. I'm well aware of that. I don't need someone to tell me that in front of everyone. What I could have done in that situation was say, shut your mouth, get out of my house, don't speak to me like that. That would have caused a scene, right? Now, surely this person knows that if this goes back to hospitality. If you go into someone else's house and you humiliate them or denigrate them, that's really not cool. So if you do that, and I'm pretty sure this person is aware of those unwritten laws that exist pretty much all over the world, that like he knew what he was doing by saying those things. So all I can think was he couldn't think of anything to say, but rather than to stay silent, he had to say something to make me uncomfortable. So that was a verbal attack. So that is, so, you know, if you want to look at NVC, he used judgment, and is beyond NVC. It's just straight up. You don't have to like follow those principles. He just pushed me down, knocked me down using words. And I empathize with this person because he's been through difficult times himself. But he's also in a very much fortunate position in his life, where even though things are difficult or have been difficult, he hasn't gone through any of the stress that I've gone through. And he wouldn't know none of what I've gone through. So maybe that's another way I can rationalize why he thought it was his prerogative to just do that. And that's why it brings me back to, it's better to actually draw a line in the sand and say, I'm going to celebrate every day. I don't need to have 1 day or 2 days or 10 days. Look, I will still have special days of the year, which I think are special, and I might make an effort to, but you know what? I'm going to try and connect with good people whenever possible, because at least then I know that there isn't going to be this additional stress, because everyone stresses out, and that's when people say things they don't mean. And it's not just when people drink alcohol, obviously around these holidays type times, people drink alcohol, and that can be an excuse. Oh, why did you say that? And looking back, that has been a thing that at times, but then I can go, well, no, because my negative reaction, or my negative the negative association that I have towards these particular times, it's probably 50-50, where someone's upset me and they've had a few drinks, to someone has had 0 drinks and they've done even worse. So alcohol's not necessarily a factor. That's what I'm trying to say. And also, given it that time of day, it wouldn't have been a large amount that could have influenced. So, and why am I still trying to justify why this person said this stuff to me in front of everyone? But I feel liberated, because I'm not going to put up with this stuff anymore. I'd rather be, I've got my future to think about. I've got the future of our child and my fiance, soon to be wife. And I'm not even there yet. I've got to get to her. We've got to get married. It's going to take a lot to get to her, financially, physically. And then we have to then get back here. But I know that there are people that I want to keep contact with. So I think it's easier for, within the cycle of, there's various things to describe negative social behaviors. And, there's, narcissistic abuse, bullying, or denigration. There's so many different, and each one you can associate with different situations. And, some could be more intense because they're one-on-one. Some could be more intense because they're in a group. Okay, so one of the big things that connects them is when you're vulnerable. So they say when you have your guard down, that's when they attack, right? So it was an attack. It was a social attack on me when I was not provoking anything at all. I was just wanting to, see people I hadn't seen for a long time. And then it was a big thing for me too, because of my social world becomes smaller because of so much of being made fun of, humiliated, denigrated, manipulated, coerced, and many other things, I'm already vulnerable from that. And then it's been a difficult year. So I actually am glad, that this person did this, because I'm not going to actually put myself in that position anymore. And if I am in that position and someone makes fun of me or humiliates me in front of everyone, rather than it's a very difficult thing. If you revert to people pleasing, and that's what I did. So what self-deprecation. So when the person made fun of me, I was like, ah, ha, ha, yeah, I got my shirt doesn't fit properly. Look at it. It's all, I was like showing how like when the shirt is a little bit tight and instead of being a straight line with the buttons, it sort of spreads out a little bit. I was like, oh yeah, look, and someone stood up for me and said, oh, quit it, but then I should have been the one to say, I should have just really what I should have done. Excuse me. But see, here's the thing. You're stuck, because if you like because I kept thinking and this is what happens when you get bullied. You're like, what should I have said? What should I have done? Thinking back, I would have just walked out of the room and said nothing. And you know what? That's what I'm doing right now. I'm closing the door on so much. I don't care for people that think that it's okay to just laugh at other people unless they deserve it. If a comedian makes fun of someone or something or some group or organization or government or whatever because they're doing silly or bad things, that's justified. If it's in a context of a comedic situation. Same thing with, cartoonists, satirists. But if it's unprovoked, and it was in my own home. So if you look at, that's why if you think, my guard was already down, because I did not expect for that to happen. It was it was the last thing I'd expected to happen. I was already a little bit anxious about walking into being in a room full of people and people I hadn't seen for a while. So, if you have social anxiety because of being like humiliated or denigrated or suffered narcissistic abuse, and you're worried about these situations, then you can put up some form of protection against you from these things. And there's lots of ways, And so I could have walked in and just been cold and just waved and said, hey, everyone, and sat down. But that's not fair to everyone else, and also I'm not that sort of person. It's naturally me is to be friendly, even to the bullies. And that's how, I guess, I've been able to stop bullies in the past, is to not be over kind, but to not let it hurt me. They make, but then I have, through the people pleasing, the self-deprecation, like when he made fun of me, like I made fun of myself to appease the situation. But everyone in the room knew that this person was the nasty person in this situation. And they saw it was a cheap shot. And everyone felt uncomfortable. So it probably would have been, if I'd walked out of the room in silence, it would have made more of a scene. So not only the person who made fun of me would have felt like he had upset everyone rather than just upset the one person, everyone in the room would have felt uneasy. So maybe finding a space in between that. And so when this person made fun of me, and I've thought about this today, I thought, what, you know, I could have thought, I thought of a comeback to him. I thought I could have said, oh, you're observant. You should be a journalist or a politician because you can spot one thing that has nothing to do with what's really going on. I could have said that. I could have said that. That, you know, taking, if someone makes a joke, if you're able to, you know, and everyone has the capacity to make, to turn those things around. But see, if we've been conditioned through repetitive people knocking you down in these situations, you already go into a situation. As soon as you go into a situation like that, a social situation, group of people, you're vulnerable, might have a bit of anxiety about it all. You're carrying all the stuff that you've already gone. And this is the thing about these holidays and these get-togethers, is that, you know, there's an unpreparedness with things, because if you've been through a difficult time in recent times leading up, then, you know, you haven't had time to prepare for that interaction. So, but practicing these things, you know, and, you know, but I don't like playing their games. You know, I could have said that. I could have had a comeback that actually made everyone in the room think. But I went the self-deprecation route and made fun of myself for being overweight. You know? I could have gone with NBC. I could have gone, look, I've had a difficult year and I need for I need to feel comfortable in my own house. And I don't appreciate being spoken to like this. Oh, Eric's here, dude. Eric, how you going, brother? Like, it's been ages. Eric's here, man. I'm like, I haven't been able to. This is funny because the whole thing's about me being overweight still, like what I'm talking about. And I've been meaning to like exercise and lose that weight. And it's classic. But Eric says, hey, have a real good New Year. Sending love and good vibes from Florida. Cheers, brother. Yeah. See, I'm focused. That's a great thing. I'm focused on the new year. You know? And I'm not giving up on, you know, I love the whole thing about social groups and hanging out and having things like hanging out, chatting. That's what I love about this. You notice how everything, I've got a smile on my face. someone's here chatting to me, and we've chatted quite a lot over the last year and a bit. So yeah, happy New Year to you too, Eric. I hope for amazing, awesome things in the new year. And I'm going to be in America next year when, like, for the birth of my child, and so I will try and organize like a meetup for like everyone who's there. I was going to try and, like, we always talked about doing that here in Australia, and that would be a lot more expensive for people. But while I'm in America, we'll try and organize that. And I spoke to my fiance, and she suggested it to me as well. So we're going to try and do that. But obviously, we got a lot on our plates. We got babies due in a couple of months, and but yeah, we'll try and find a way to, like, organize something. And see, that sort of, that flips the whole thing about not wanting to be around, like, make our own special times, our own holidays, and I don't want to, like, make people not want to have a good time. I'm just talking about how it is a stressful time of year, and these sorts of things happen at any sort of gathering. But, like, I feel like what happened, what I've been talking about, what I feel better just knowing that, whenever I get to a point and I say, no, I'm not going to accept that anymore. But then if I'm vulnerable, I don't know how to react in those situations. And so it is good to actually practice these things. And you do have to, it's very difficult. And it's like I said, when I broke it all down before, I was like, well, if I'd said this, other people would have got upset. If I'd walked out of the room, it would have caused more of a scene, although that would have been powerful. The most powerful thing is silence, and to just walk away. But there are other ways, better than what I'd done, which was to make fun of myself in order to appease the situation. And I guess maybe that was the best way in the situation, because it sort of cancels it out. But it doesn't. What ended up happening was it had been, like, upsetting me all day, and I was thinking about what I should have said. Like, I could have used my wit to and make a joke out of it. So you can, if someone says something that's hurtful, you can sort of turn it around by making a joke out of it. And if no one's getting hurt by that joke, then it can help the situation. So I could have used that route. And in the past, when I was sort of more in that mode of it being more often and common that I could say those things back, I got very good at counteracting, like, from bullies making fun of me, and but I don't like playing that game, because if you make a joke like that, it's exploiting their weakness, and it's continuing it, It's difficult. So, but I don't want to. I don't want to shut myself off from things. But it's better that I protect myself by not exposing myself to a situation where that's going to happen. Now, this is coming from someone who I've experienced, like, I have experienced ongoing, like, harassment and, humiliation. They say, oh, it toughens you up. It hurts. Words hurt. But you know what? Positive, good words, like what Eric was saying, hey, how you going? Have a good New Year, sending love and good vibes from Florida. Like, how awesome is that? And put a smile on my face straight away. See? Talking it out with someone. This is doing this right now. I'm getting to speak to the internet, to not to everyone on the internet, obviously, but to people who care, people who understand, and everyone knows if anyone's been following any of my chats, they know that I am healing and growing as a person, and I know that I have faults, and I've got to work out what things I work on to get, to improve. Procrastination's a big thing. And this comes from, and people who've got complex trauma understand this. Something happens, you get triggered and you shut down and you lose time, and then it gets difficult to get back things happening again. So for me, it's like staying positive, even if things are difficult, and knowing there's good people out there. And that we're all healing. We're all working on improving. Even those people who are in a really difficult situation that feel like things are getting out of control, or they've got, there are some things that are things that we've got to face that we can't fix. So those things we don't focus on them. We focus on what we can do things about. I planted all these. I planted that garden out the front, and you know what? Everything was growing great. The ginger started coming up. The taro was everywhere, popping up. Beautiful flowers, leaves. Sorry, and it was in a spot where the sun. And I knew this when I planted it. I knew it's all about learning, and I knew that it only gets so many hours of light, but the when it gets the light, it is powerful, like it's strong light, and it's in midsummer. And I was like, oh, that's sort of, I was worried that they were going to get burnt, and that's what happened, right? But you know what else happened? Like caterpillars came along and ate like all the leaves. And then possums came along and ate all the stems. I should take a photo of the garden. I'll do that. I've already got photos of it when it was all lush, and to show you just how vulnerable things are, you know. But you know what? The caterpillars are going to turn into butterflies or cicadas or whatever, you know. The possums, it should be the time. Actually, this time of year, that's probably, they needed the food, you know. So, you know, and I would say the taro is going to still grow. It's just going to put out new leaves again. So, and we're going out of summer. So, in the next couple of weeks, that area won't get that intense sunshine that could burn the vulnerable leaves, you know. And actually, I was at the farm where I did the practical for my permaculture course the other day, and I was looking at the garden beds that we planted, and my teacher was showing me. He goes, "Yeah, see how this it was like spiny amaranth or spiky amaranth, and it was growing up amongst the taro, because the taro is very vulnerable to the too much light will burn it." And then he's like, "Oh yeah, see how the amaranth growing around the taros protected it. So the taro is still going fine because it's like in a open full sun all day long. So if that amaranth wasn't there, all the taro would have burnt to a crisp." So I guess if you think about those things, like, and that's how I've approached learning permaculture, being that you have to try things to see what works and what doesn't, and you learn from it. Like, you can read stuff from books, but you've got to really just you got to put plants in the ground. You got to put seeds in the ground. You throw them around. You know, I'm getting to know by doing, and I'm accepting failure. Like that garden out there, you know, I'm glad that the possums are eating, you know. I don't think there's much other food for them at the moment, you know. And same thing with the caterpillars. The caterpillars have got some food. I did find one on there, and I was like, "Oh, I should take this away." And I left it there, and then it kept eating the rest of it. So, because I was like, oh, I didn't know what to do, because I didn't want it. Like, if I moved the caterpillar somewhere and it couldn't eat the right food, it would starve. It wouldn't get to become a butterfly or a moth. So that's another lesson, you know. Maybe next time if I see a caterpillar eating my taro leaf, I'll know what other plant I could put the caterpillar on, so it could still keep eating, but it's not going to eat my taro. See what I mean? So, you know, I don't want to sound like a downer on Christmas or talking about holidays and not wanting to be there for the holidays, wanting to avoid them. But you know what? I'm turning it into a positive thing. Make every day something special. You know, New Year's is always something good. We just had the solstice, you know, and the other significance of Christmas, I still like that, but I just don't like, you know, for me, it has been something that's like, I have so many negative reaction or negative memories of those certain times, and so I've got to remember of the good times that I've experienced and the connection with people. I don't want to like say, you know, but I'm not alone. So many people are alone this time of year, you know, so we're not alone. You know, if you're sitting at home over this time and you don't have, there's lots of people who don't have family, lots of people who are doing it rough, you know, I'm thinking of them, you know, and that they can know that we can focus on other things and not, it's not like it's making it less for the people that are enjoying themselves. They should still be able to enjoy themselves, but we shouldn't feel bad for being alone at this time, you know. And I'm not going anywhere tomorrow, but I'm going to have conversations with my fiance, which is going to be good because we miss each other dearly and we chat as much as we can. And I'm thinking of people out there who are dealing with health issues, physical things, you know, and people that are doing it in a difficult situation, you know, like there's people who are starving and living in tents, you know, and don't have support. I that brings me back to feeling fortunate, and you know, I feel so fortunate that we're all connecting by that, you know, even if we're apart, you know. So, and I miss people that I no longer speak to. You know, some people I don't miss, but I do miss a lot of people that I don't speak to anymore. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that situation. I think a big thing with me, like saying I'm not going to put myself in this situation where I could be made fun of anymore. I think I feel good about that because it means I choose when, you know, I choose because that's something I've noticed is that, and this is why I keep bringing it back to empathizing with the situation and to try and understand why people act a certain way. And often there is a lot going on in their world. Now, this is when I'm talking about like straight up bullies, like people who, or you know, who get off on putting other people down, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about people who don't really mean to make fun of you or say something that hurts you, because that happens so often. And then you can think about that they're also very nervous or anxious themselves. It still doesn't justify it. It still doesn't make it right. So, you know, I want to make every day something to celebrate, you know. And if if you're anxious about social gatherings that you're going to, at least know that other people's behavior is going to be seen. So if someone makes fun of you in front of everyone else is going to see that. So really, it just shows the bully as being the bully, and they're hurting themselves in that situation. So it's how you deal with it, you know. I guess that's the biggest thing, you know. But I was just wanted to talk about how those things affect. It's a how those things affect you, how you deal with it. We shouldn't have to practice how to respond to bullies. We should just. It'd be nice if we were just always around nice people, but you know, there's a lot of bullies out there. Again, thinking about that they can't help themselves is a big thing. But you know what? Like there are some amazing people in my life, and you know, a lot of them are people here on the chats and on the channel, and there's a lot of people that I've got to know recently, you know. So that's something that really means a lot to me. Is I this year, my fiance told me this the other day. She said, "Oh, she was listing all the things that I accomplished this year," and I was just like, "Wow, that's you know, that is amazing." And I thought about all the things that she's accomplished, and I haven't really told her yet. I said, "I'll tell you all the list of the things that you've accomplished too," because I was thinking about that. And so I will endeavour to do that. Um, but a couple of them were um, doing the permaculture course, getting to know a whole bunch of people, amazing people, really amazing people. The teachers are amazing. The class was amazing. We all got to know each other when we did the practical. The couple of the 3 days at the farm, we all planted we planted a forest, basically, of food that's going to be there, for hundreds of years. Some of the trees, the whole thing with syntropic farming is you might plant a tree that's going to last 100, 200, 300 years. And that should stay there, and it'll be producing food. I went back there on the weekend and I got to see the progress, and it's just growing, but it's the human contact, and signing up with the community garden was the other big one, and getting to know this community of people that we all work together, and they're amazing people. We did have a Christmas party, and that was lovely. No one made fun of me at that Christmas party. Everyone was beautiful and lovely. So I don't think anyone said anything negative to anyone that night. Like, everyone was just enjoying each other's company. We had beautiful conversations. We all shared food, you know. So I don't want to sound like a downer talking about like negative reactions to things, but I can't deny them for existing. I mean, that's another self, like that deny, like that all goes into the whole narcissistic abuse paradigm of bully, and then you blame yourself for being the one that they can make fun of. Like, that is just not cool, you know. So if finding a balance between empathizing with their situation but not tolerating a certain amount. So, you know, you can protect yourself by completely isolating yourself, but then you don't get to be around anyone. And then you're missing out, and other people are missing out, because I tell you what, you're all amazing people. You know, there's good people out there, and you know that when you find people and you have stuff to talk about, you have some common interests, and you don't even have to have common interests. You know, if the connection is like, it can be simple. But what I did find is finding people like through the permaculture course and the community garden. They're a good bunch of people. So there's less of these negative things that go along. As soon as you add people's tensions and their predispositions, or like their angst that they've built up, this is why often when there's certain holidays where it's like people are stressed out, and so they carry that stress and it builds up, you know. And it can go the other way. People can become exuberant and over happy, super happy. They can have like a sip of wine, but it's like they've drunk a whole bottle, because they're laughing, and because they're letting themselves just relax after being tense and upset, stressed out. So that can be upsetting or offensive to some people. They don't like someone being super happy and laughing and stuff. You know, tonight I heard, you know, houses around, everyone's they were so loud, and I was just like, wow, like they're yelling at each other, but they're laughing, they're having a good time. And I was like, well, they're having a good time, you know. They were swearing a bit, and I know that I could hear children playing, and I was like, that's not cool. Like, you're swearing loudly, and they're hearing that. So I thought but then, so I'm fair to judge that, because I don't think that's right. But they were having a good time. You know, if you're not, you know, within reason, that's what I'm trying to say. And that's where it can easily, people can accidentally go too far. People can get offended. And so around these times of year, around these sorts of holidays and things, just, I guess, we got to find the balance between allowance, acceptance, and non-participation. So if things go too far, then you know, and that's why some people, they just refuse to, you know, to partake in, holiday get-togethers because they've been through it and they don't want to deal with that, and that's fair enough. And so, yeah, thanks for hearing me talk about my experience and overall experiences throughout life with things. I try and the beauty about talking through these things, you don't have like you could start a YouTube channel yourself and start talking about things, but you could also, when you think about things and you can recapitulate your own. I think it's constructive to have a goal of some form of resolution. What are you going to action? What are you going to do about these things? And so, and how do you, and learn more about it too, because one thing is if you've been through various forms of abuse, it might take a long time before you actually get to the point before you start learning how to counteract these situations in a constructive way. So educating yourself about these complexities. Now, the thing is, speaking through my experiences, that I've been well aware of a lot of this stuff, but then I haven't been able to voice or action, because one of the most powerful things with domination or humiliation or any of that sort of stuff, denigration, is that it puts you off. It shocks you. And I could go into the actual real effects on your mind, how it affects your thinking. It affects your olfactory centers, like your amygdala, hypothalamus, or hippocampus, sorry. Hypothalamus, hippocampus. I got them confused. You know what I'm saying? Like your autonomic or your nervous system. And it has full-on effects on your whole body. Like it'll affect your blood flow, it'll affect your heart rate, it'll affect your ability to have rational thoughts, it'll put you in a fight or flight, freeze, fawn. All of these things are increased based on your preconditioning. So how you've been treated in the past shapes how you react to these situations. It's like conditioning. So you have to break that conditioning by educating and then doing things like mindfulness, breathing techniques, or any other forms of ways to re-regulate. And stay true, we don't want to become the bully, but sometimes we have to walk away. Sometimes we have to speak up, but we don't want to stop being friendly. That's my fiance sent me a message. She must have seen I was streaming. Or maybe, no, she's responding to my last message. She might watch this tomorrow or the next day. What time is it there? Yeah. Oh, she's up to have a chat. That makes me feel so happy. I'm going to end the stream so I can speak to my fiance, have a chat for a while. Thanks. Much love to everyone. Know that I'm hoping you have a wonderful holiday time. But just if you're not having a happy holiday time, know that you're not alone and that we can make every day of the year a special day. We find better ways to deal with these situations. So I'll end the stream here and then I can call my fiance. Yeah, we love each other very much. And we're both very happy to be bringing our child into the world next year. And we're looking forward to the whole journey. So, and we've been talking about how, you know, our child's just going to be really good, and that we've developed ways to, with the way we communicate has become, now that things have gotten better with all the chaos in our life, even though we're still we still have a lot of difficulties because we've still got to get back together, and we're still have all of this. I've got to get all this stuff done, and I have to, but things are happening. I have to get money together, and people have donated, which is really great. It's amazing. Everyone who's donated has really helped us. And she's working really hard to make things work for us all. So, but we talked about how, our child's going to just be naturally be a good person, just hearing us communicate. We've become very good at communicating with each other. Talking about our needs, listening to each other, and it's becoming better and better. So I'm going to get off the stream so I can give her a call. Much love to everyone. I hope you have an awesome New Year's and festive season. I hope if you're going to like gatherings, family things, or whatever, I hope it is good. I don't want to be a downer. But we've all experienced the negative aspects, but it's sort of rationalizing that people are stressed out. It is an aspect to it all, and there's a lot of people who just don't do holidays because of their past experiences, and they feel better for it. So sometimes making a break, distancing yourself, focusing on yourself is a better thing. Some people have got no family and they are alone, and that can be sad. But just know that they're not alone, and that if we can find ways that we can communicate together, we can be there for each other. So it's good that we have things like this on the internet. We can make good from the bad or the negative, I hope to do more streams and, soon. Yeah. Much love to everyone. Thanks for being here. I hope you all have an awesome year next year. Just keep working on things. All right.